To begin with, instead of talking about public or private administration, it is advisable that first of all we understand what exactly administration is. So administration, it has been defined by the scholars in different ways, but at a point, the point where all the scholars they converge in general is that administration is basically all about collective effort. Two or more persons making collective effort, organized collective effort towards the accomplishment of a common objective. Administration comes into existence. So remember one thing, that is not only about collective effort. As I said, when two or more persons are making organized or institutionalized collective effort towards the accomplishment of a common objective, not individual objectives, common objective, then you can say administration has come into existence. I give you an example and you will be able to understand that if two or more persons at any place, they simply assemble on the street, they assemble to do something, demand of the situation, an accident has taken place, and the injured person is taken by 4 or 5 persons. They are cooperating with each other, making collective effort, and the injured person is taken to the hospital and treatment, everything is done. So collective effort has been made here towards the accomplishment of common objective. What was the common objective? To take that injured person to the hospital. Points clear? Collective effort is there to accomplish the common objective. Still, it will not qualify for administration. Why? Because this is a collective effort, but collective effort is not organized or institutionalized. Just a spontaneous collective effort. It keeps taking place everywhere, that number of places you can say. So everything will not qualify for administration. Yes, if these 5 or 7 persons, after doing this great work, if finally they decide, after debate and discussion, they decide that what we have done is beneficial for the society and we should provide this kind of services on sustained basis, and they decide to form some kind of voluntary agency or some kind of non-governmental organization. So an organization comes into existence where somebody becomes the president, somebody becomes the vice president, somebody looks after, takes up the charge of finance, somebody is looking after personal administration. So what I mean to say, 2 or more persons are making collective effort, but this is organized collective effort. So a structure comes into existence. These 2 or more persons connect to each other on some definite lines in terms of authority, power, jurisdiction, responsibility. So a kind of configuration of various positions of authority and responsibility comes into existence. So there is a structure. Then they decide regarding some rules and procedures to be followed. Otherwise, every person will become a master unto himself. So all collective effort will, the collective effort will certainly collapse. So you have some kind of rules and procedures. A structure comes into existence. Then you have to look after the case of finance. The finance, where from the resources would come and who will keep the finance in custody and how the resources of financial resources will be allocated. All such things will have to be taken care of by somebody. Then you have to appoint other persons, you need to train them. So what I mean to say, that structure, method, technique, process, rules, procedures, financial resources, human resources, and apart from this, you have to bring changes in the pattern of functioning of the organization in keeping with the changes taking place in the environment. When you assemble all such things, what you come to know? That collective effort is taking place, but this is organized collective effort. Organized collective effort. In this collective effort, you can see some kind of regularity. You can see some kind of discipline. You can see some kind of definiteness. Then it qualifies to be called administration. Points clear? This is administration. So all collective efforts being made by one or other groups or communities, etc., will not qualify for administration. But in every administration, there is some kind of collective effort. So collective effort is the defining, organized collective effort towards the accomplishment of common objective. This is the defining characteristic of administration. Clear? Now this administration is taking place on behalf of the government. This is known as public administration. Public administration is basically government's administration. So administrative system of union government or administrative system of the state government or local government, all of them qualify for public administration. Public administration is basically government's administration. Clear? And if this administration is taking place not on behalf of the government, not as an instrument of the government. Such administration is taking place under some kind of private setting. Administrative system of administration of Reliance Industries or Tatas or Mahindras, something like this. This is private administration. So first of all, you need to understand what is administration. As I said, two or more persons making organized collective effort towards the accomplishment of a common objective, that is administration. And then it is required to be qualified. If it is taking place, such administration takes place on behalf of the government, then it is known as public administration. And if it is taking place in the context of any private organization, they are not associated with state or government, then it is known as private administration. It is not over yet. Now come to the word public. What is the meaning of the word public? The word public has three-dimensional meanings. The word public has three meanings. I mean to say that it can be associated with state or government. The word public can be used, or the word public is used in the context of common mass, people at large. And the word public is also used in the context of, the transparency. I explain it. In the first meaning of the word public, anything which is associated. Public means anything which is associated with a state or government. Anything which is associated with the state or government rather than any private organization or agencies. Second meaning of the word public is public at large. It means common mass, people in general, as against any group or community within it. So the word public in second meaning, it means public at large, the common mass, rather than a particular group or particular community within it. That is the second meaning of the word public. And the third meaning of the word public is transparency. Very often we say, please make the report public. What does that mean? Make the report public. What does that mean? It means transparency. The people have the right to know what is happening in the government. So please make the report public. So public means transparency. So what is the point? It has to be seen in contrast with secrecy. So the word public has three-dimensional meaning. Anything which is associated with government or state. Secondly, something which is related to or committed to public at large, common mass, rather than a particular group within it. And the third meaning of the word public is transparency rather than secrecy. So if administration is taking place, if any administration conforms to these three requirements of the word public, it is known as public administration. Let me explain. If such administration is taking place on behalf of the government or state, and such administration is committed to the interest of public at large, common mass, rather than a particular group or community within it, and if such administration conforms to the requirement of transparency, there is an element of public participation, public accountability, more particularly in the context of democracy. So administration added with administration qualified by the three-dimensional meanings of the word public. Administration on behalf of the state committed to public at large, being carried out with transparency and accountability, it qualifies to be called public administration. If you remove the word public, it's only administration, or it will be seen as private administration. If you simply remove the word public, then what remains is private administration. That administration which is not associated with state or government. Administration which is not committed to public at large, only a particular group or community, and administration which does not need to conform to the level of transparency to that extent, that qualifies for private administration. So this is the difference between public and private administration. You just remove the word public, what remains is the administration, and then it is seen as private administration. This is about public administration. Public administration is not the government. Public administration is an instrument in the hands of the government. Public administration is an instrument of the government through which the government converts its vision or transforms its vision into reality. Public administration is not an end in itself. Public administration, administrative leadership, it is required to work. It works with the political leadership of the country. So political leadership, administrative leadership put together, they work for the welfare, development and security of the people, the nation, etc. So public administration is not an end in itself. It is only means towards an end. Public administration, as I said, public administration is an instrument which is used by the political leadership. The word government has a bigger and wider scope. When we talk about the government, it brings within its purview political leadership as well as administrative leadership. Point is clear? So in the context of democracy, what happens? In the context of democracy, we know that in democracy, people are the repository of all power and authority. So democracy, as you know, that is based on assumption that people are capable of getting themselves governed. People decide who will govern them and to what extent, in what manner they will be governed. So people elect their leaders. They form, the government or the political leadership at the top, but that political leadership consisting of many common laymen, that political leadership alone cannot accomplish the goals pertaining to welfare, development and security. That political leadership needs institutionalized existence of skilled officials. Getting a point? So administration is there to assist the political leadership. So in democracy, we are supposed to be governed, or we are governed by the leaders whom we have elected. But those whom we elect, they may not have the required professional competence or skill. They are common laymen, they are the representatives of the people. They may not have that kind of technical skill or that administrative skill to convert vision into reality, to run various programs and projects, to take various policy decisions, to implement the same, and finally to provide goods and services to the society. So therefore, political leadership at the top and the administrative leadership, both of them work together. What I mean to say, whatever goods and services that you get from the government, public health or education or infrastructure or environmental protection or women empowerment, child development, anything, all kind of goods and services that you're getting from the government. So all such goods and services are the outcome of the collective effort made by public administration and the political leadership of the country. So it means political action as well as administrative action. Political activities as well as administrative activities. The interplay of the two, and finally you get the goods and services. What is clear? Traditionally, we used to say that the public administration is concerned. Traditionally, it was generally believed that the public administration was concerned with policy implementation only, not policy formulation, which was taken as which was considered as something to be taken care of by political leadership. But in contemporary times, we don't have that kind of rigid bifurcation. So today, political leadership and administrative leadership, both of them work together, whether it is policy making or policy implementation. Policy implementation, no doubt, is taken largely by the administrative leadership administration, but as far as the policy formulation is concerned, here administration plays a very important role. So political leadership of the country consisting of elected leaders, and administration consists of administrative leadership, or administration consists of selected ones. So elected leaders and selected, the officials and other employees, all put together, elected and selected. Both of them work together to provide goods and services. Point clear? Your minister represents will, and your secretary, IS officer, the bureaucracy, that represents skill. So the combination of will and skill, and finally you get the goods and services. So whatever goods and services you are getting in your state, public health or education or infrastructure, no doubt all such goods and services are being offered to you as a part of the collective enterprise taken up by administrative leadership and political leadership. Point is clear? But there is a difference between the two. Political leadership consists of elected members of the society, and administration consists of selected members of the society. So elected and selected, both of them have a different kind of orientation, but they are supposed to work. They are supposed to work in cooperation with each other. Point is clear? And it does not mean that the administrative leadership, administration is totally subservient, or they have to simply execute the orders and commands of the political leadership. It's not like that. Administration can always refuse to accept any order and command or any direction issued by the political leadership if such direction is not keeping with the requirement of law. So it means administration DG or for the chief secretary in any state, they can refuse to obey the orders and command issued by the Council of Ministers headed by the chief minister. It is on the paper. In reality, things may happen differently. So your administrative leadership can refuse to accept any order and command, any direction issued by the political leadership if in their knowledge it is not compatible with the common legal code, rules, regulations, or provisions of the Constitution, or any law enacted by the legislature, something like this. So it does not mean that political leadership can invade the zone of administration so easily. It's not like that. So administration and then political leadership, they need to work together. But administration is not totally at the mercy of the political leadership. They can refuse to accept anything which is illegal in their knowledge, in their understanding of things. Point is clear? So therefore, when we talk about government has a very broader scope. You have elected leaders, you have selected ones. Both of them work together to accomplish some common goal and purpose, that is welfare, development, public welfare, development and security. I hope the point is clear. So you need to understand the word public. 3 dimensions of the word public I have discussed. Something associated with state or government. Second meaning, it's committed to public at large, common mass. And the third meaning that I've discussed, transparency. Administration means collective effort. What kind of collective effort? Organized collective effort. Organized collective effort for what? To accomplish common objective, not individual objectives. Common objectives. Clear? Organized collective effort means that collective effort is taking place within the bounds of some kind of discipline and regularity. There is a structure, some kind of rules and procedures. Getting a point? Then you have some financial aspect is also taken care of. Then tools, techniques, technology, all such things are deployed so as to make that collective effort more organized, disciplined. Getting a point? Conforming to the requirements of regularity, predictability, then only it qualifies to be called administration. The entire public administration is a part of the government. Public administration and political leadership, both of them work together. But political leadership is at the top. Why? Because this is democracy. In democracy, we are governed not by those who have been selected by one other competitive examination. In democracy, in principle, we are supposed to be governed by those whom we have elected by exercising our rights as a citizen. So we are supposed to be governed by those whom we have elected, but those who have been elected by us may not be able to convert vision into reality or to provide all such goods and services to us. So that's why they need assistance from a body of skilled officials, employees put together. This is known as administration. So at the top you have political leadership, and here you have public administration. Political leadership and public administration, both of them work together to provide benefit to society. Point clear? Earlier we used to accept the Roman view that political leadership is concerned with only policy making and administration is concerned with policy implementation. But gone are those days. In contemporary times, things have become so much complex. Subject matters of governance, the public health or education or for that environmental protection, everything has become so much complex in modern times. Given the technical, dynamics associated with that political leadership alone cannot do all such things. They need technical expertise. So therefore, political leadership all over the world, political leadership is assisted by a body or institution of skilled officials.